Welcome to Unfiltered with Dave Letelier, episode 3. And today I had the great honour to sit down and have a conversation with All Black legend Keven Mealamu. He really goes deep into his journey, starting from Tokoroa, growing up there, coming up to Auckland and becoming an All Black, captaining the All Blacks, playing 132 games for the All Blacks. And I truly mean this. He is the example of a great man, such an amazing role model that I looked up to for so long growing up. And you're going to get so much out of this. He shares a lot of the advice that he was given from coaches, how he got through the tough times, how he got through that loss to France, that tough loss to France in 2007 to come back and win the World Cup. This guy has won 2 World Cups. Now he's an amazing community-minded man, serving people, serving the community. So be sure to tune in. This is an amazing story. Enjoy. Kevi, thank you so much for joining me, brother.
Thank you, so really grateful for this opportunity. I thought I might just take this opportunity as well just to say thank you for all the work you do for all our people. Some very inspiring stories out there, and we're really grateful for your inspiration and for your support and help in that space. It's amazing.
Thank you, brother. It means a lot, bro. And I mean, you're a hero to us. I was saying to one of the boys earlier today that you're like, for me and for so many of us, you're like the example of just a great man. Like, you're it, in every way that you handle yourself on and off the field and everything you do. It's amazing. So it's an honor to have you here, bro.
Thank you, sir.
You just got your title. Should I be talking? How should I be introducing you? I am a plastic Samoan, so my pronunciation is not the best.
Oh, and for some context as well, it's one of the things that I feel really proud to have received, my matai. And I'm born and raised in New Zealand as well. My wha Samoa isn't where it should be, but yes, I was privileged enough to pick up the matai mai avatele, and so that's very special for me, for my family. But I feel the same way as well. Like, it was really hard for me. Obviously, not being able to speak the language fully, but of all my trips to Samoa, that was definitely my best, my most favourite moment, and I'll do it again in a heartbeat, no matter how uncomfortable it was.
How do you deal with that, bro? Like that uncomfortableness, because it's the same with me. Like, I was raised by my Samoan grandparents, but they thought it was a waste to speak Samoan to me.
Yes.
So I just know the basics. Same with Māori, don't know much te reo at all. So I almost feel like I'm not Samoan enough, I'm not Māori enough. How do you deal with that uncomfortableness?
I think what really helped when we talked about not speaking whaasa or understanding whaasa more, or speaking Samoan very well, part of the ceremony when you're having the kawa, when you're having the ava, is being able to reply in Samoan. And although I probably only had like 10 words in there, it was probably, I spent like nights and nights trying to prepare for that, and I just couldn't get it right, because I was thinking about expectation. What do people, they probably expect me to be able to speak well and be able to do this really well, but that expectation felt really heavy on me, to be honest.
Yep.
And it wasn't until the night before in the village with our aunties and uncles, they got us to do a little rehearsal, and it wasn't perfect, but their support behind me.
Yeah.
Proud of you, man, this is awesome. And having my brothers there as well, man, there's no way of failing this.
Yeah.
I just had to give it a go. So.
That's awesome, bro. Tell us about growing up. Well, your upbringing, your childhood, what was that like?
Yeah, I always say to everyone, I'm a grandson of Samoan immigrants that settled in Tokoroa. Could have come up to the big city, or any of the big cities, but I think it was the forestry, the work that drew them to Tokoroa. Yeah, growing up in Tokoroa, my aunties and uncles all lived there, and it was just a place. I think why it was so good to grow up there was aunties and uncles' houses, you could walk there, you know? So our connection with our cousins and our family were just like that. So I think that growing up piece, that's where I learnt the core part of me, or the foundational part, which is family.
Yeah. And
my grandparents and parents were strong in the church as well, so just some real solid foundations to work from growing up.
And where to after there? When did you start playing rugby there?
Yes, my rugby career started there. Started playing age group for Waikato and Tokoroa.
Yeah.
I think the best moments about that day was playing alongside my brother Luke.
Yeah.
So there's nothing like being able to play alongside with your brother,
Yeah.
And maybe why I say this is because I feel like my time in rugby, when we played together, I never got in any trouble. Because anytime anyone wanted to start a fight, he was the first one there.
Yeah.
I didn't even have to throw any hands.
It's good having an older brother on the field, especially if it's Luke Mealamu.
Yes. So I felt like the safest person on the field.
Yeah.
But a lot of those moments, when I think back to it, actually, I I remember being in the van, living in Tokoro. Obviously, you have to travel out to play games, and family in the van, mum and dad, our sister, me, Luke, and our younger brother. That's what I remember growing up.
Yeah.
That's why rugby was so special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're going through it, you don't understand, how precious those moments are, until you get older. And you go, man, I wish I could go back and experience those things again.
That's it. Especially, bless her soul, our mum's no longer with us, but it's those moments that, you just, now, you're at the age now where I know you got to make the most of every moment, Yeah.
Yeah, I often think that, losing my sister, and life's so short, and nothing's guaranteed. You've got to, because we're all so busy trying to grind and work and trying to provide. Like when BBM was super busy going through COVID and stuff, I think, man, my wives, my children, but I never see them.
Yes.
How do you get that balance right?
I think it's a good question. I've always had like a lot of good coaches. Obviously I was lucky enough to play rugby for a long time, which meant got to see a lot of different ways people coached. But in that, they end up becoming mentors as well. And one of my coaches, Steve Hansen, always used to talk about it as well. He just said, balance is not about having equal time to everything, but it's where your attention is when you're doing that.
Wow.
I just thought that was a piece of gold that he shared, whether it's 5 or 10 minutes that you got with your family, make sure your attention's there. When you're at work, put your time and energy into work, so that's done well. But if it's a little time that you have with your family, don't be distracted. Be there, be in the moment, be present, which is actually really hard to do, right?
Yeah.
Because, we always, phones ringing.
It's so bad.
It's hard. Growing up, my dad worked a lot. As I'm older, I understand that's what you got to do for your family.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's what you have to do. And he was always going from work and being present at our games, even coaching our teams. But those moments, he wasn't there. It was not because he didn't want to, it's because he knew that's what he had to do to make sure he could provide for our family.
Yeah. My wife talks about love language. My love the way I show love is by working my ass off.
Yes.
To provide. And I guess, it's just hard, eh?
Yep.
So where to from Tokoroa, bro? Did you go straight to Auckland there? And where did you start playing?
Yeah, so from Tokoroa, we went to our closest club, which was Otahuhu Rugby Club.
Yep.
But also, I think, sport's always a good connector.
Yeah.
Especially if you're new to a place. Being at the local rugby club, but also playing rugby at the school, Old Ere College. It's the best way if you don't know anyone, right? Because sport does that. It's just easy to connect them with people. So it was a league school.
Yep.
We had some league greats come out of there, and but we did have a good coach who's no longer with us, Jeff Moon. Just one of those enablers in the space. Good coach, but also cared about players and people and wanting them to do well. So I think just being under the guidance of some good people and really being proud of where we were from.
Yeah.
We were able to achieve some awesome stuff at Old Ere College because it was a team that originally started in C grade. There was a C grade. And, regularly competing in the A grade now, which is awesome.
Yeah. And where to from there, bro? When did you crack the blues?
Yeah, so when I was playing at school, I was playing in the loose forwards.
Yep.
And it was a time that when I first started playing in the loose forwards, there was no jumping.
Yeah.
So when my position became a line-out jumper, I didn't fit the mould anymore. So that awesome person, Jeff Moon, he said, if you want to go further, you're going to have to change your position.
Yeah.
And so that's where I moved into the front row. And yeah, so for a couple of years, I was sort of in between positions. When we talk about when your pathways cross, I had an NPC coach for Auckland that saw promise in me. He sort of saw a player that had a different style, and I had some good mentors that helped me with my core role, like scrummaging and line-out throwing. But I think he took a gamble on me because I looked different to the normal mold of hookers, and that was it. I played for Auckland in 1999, and my professional rugby career took off after that.
What advice would you give to a young up-and-coming rugby player, bro? I was going to say young hooker, but that not sound good.
That's when you asked about me. I was just
Give us some advice for a young hooker. What advice would you give to a young up-and-coming rugby player that, that are struggling to get by, they're struggling to make it?
And if you really love the game, it's got to go back to that love of the game,
Yeah.
you know, because so many good things flow out of that. I think if you're playing the game to chase something, it can be dangerous, you know.
Yeah.
So I think if the love of the game is always in the heart there, what we're going to see is good rugby. We're going to see you at your best.
Yeah.
Now, it's something we talk about, like for young athletes, we want them to be optimal, which means for their performance. So in the right mind space, feeling good, feeling energetic. Sometimes when you're chasing a bit, it feels a bit heavy.
Yeah.
You get a bit sluggish because you're like, I'm not getting to the teams that I wanted to make, or coach is not selecting me. If you're controlling what you can control,
Yeah.
your energy, output, you always talk about this as well, hey Dave?
Yeah.
If you're in control of your energy and output, that's what you can control.
Yeah.
And if you do that well, people looking at what you're doing will see something different.
100%.
Yep.
When did you make the All Blacks?
Dave, I felt like I was playing for the All Blacks when I was like 8.
Wow. Wow.
You know,
So that's how you approached it.
yeah, I just watching games in a sleeping bag, you know, in those afternoon games. I just think there was always the want and drive to want to be there. I always share the moment of what does my first All Blacks moment look like. It was Sir Michael Jones scoring the try at the Rugby World Cup.
Yeah.
No, his beautiful mullet. He was probably one of the originators of that mullet. And he was athletic. He looked different to everyone else.
Yeah.
Not to say anything bad about anyone else, but he looked different.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, me and Brother Luke were always in the backyard trying to practice that dive, you know.
Yeah.
So I officially became an All Black in 2002. And it probably the proudest moment for me, you know, just being able to see my parents proud, my family proud. Those are the bits that actually, that's what makes it worth it, you know.
How did it feel when you told them or when they saw it?
The other ones they were there from day one. Trainings, my dad would always help me clean my boots, put the paper in it, put it next to the fire. You know, Mum would always help me make sure my bag was prepped well. So, you just being able to return the love and say thank you for getting me to this point. I know it's my job now to make sure I can stay here, but the amount of hands, the people that help get you there, that moment is to say thank you to all of them, you know?
Yeah, man, that must have been just next level, bro. Just that feeling. I mean, on a much lesser scale, but I remember the feeling when I made Auckland for the first time in rugby league and seeing how proud my dad was.
Yes.
For me, it felt like it was hard to make him proud, but to see the look, it was an amazing feeling.
There's nothing that compares to it, right? Just my dad's probably come from the same era as well, which is hard to express your feelings. But as he's gotten older, man, he does it so well, you know. And there's nothing more special than seeing the amount of work that our parents have put into us and to see their kids do well. So, yeah.
Yeah, when I think about, you know, with our grandparents, I mean, that's the whole reason they came here.
100%.
To give us, the future generations, a better shot at life, eh?
Yep.
Just to see that come to fruition, it's just next level.
And that's our why too. I just think how hard it was, you know, especially for my grandparents, but also my dad, who, when he arrived in New Zealand, couldn't speak English.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine it. I can't imagine
getting a job,
getting
providing.
And, you know, you can't speak the language, and, yeah, our success has come from him, you know, so, yeah, very grateful.
You were speaking about coaches earlier. Who was your best coach? I guess that's a hard one. Who did you get along with the most or learn the most from?
Dave, I know how many viewers you have here, and I know all my coaches have been watching this as well.
They all offered you something, I guess, eh?
Yeah, they've all been really good going through tough times or learning through the good times.
Yeah.
All of them had contributed something, you know, so I don't think there was ever a coach I didn't get on with. I knew my role, which was to go out there, do my job, do it really well, to the best of my abilities. And I'd say all of them as well had an open door policy, which is if you wanted to get better, just you had to ask a question, but it's not always easy.
Yeah.
So you know, just learning about being courageous and asking the question, being open to learning. I thought all of my coaches were really good in that space.
You ended up, how many games for 132 or something? How many All Black games did you play?
Yes, 132. And everyone's unique. I think like most minutes of those 132 games, you remember most of those minutes.
Yeah.
And the lead up to it as well. the feelings after and before, whether they were good or bad, and the people
Yeah.
and the awesome people that had the chance to do that alongside as well. Yeah.
Leading the haka, what was that like? I mean, you led the haka quite a few times.
Yes. Oh man, I remember like when doing national anthems and I can't sing because I'm going through my head, don't stuff this up, you know. And I realised too that I'm not only representing myself and my family, but I'm also representing our country, our people as well.
Yeah.
So it's something that I always wanted to do well.
Yeah.
It always felt like a lot of pressure and expectation, but it was a privilege to do that. So
You must have done it well, bro, 'cause you did it like over 30 times, I think, you led the haka.
thank you.
It's amazing.
I hope that's what my teammates
Yeah.
would say, which is it was led well and we felt connected.
How did you feel being Samoan and leading the haka?
I always think about all the pioneers that have come before
Yeah.
us, and to be able to see one of my teammates and heroes, Tana Umanga,
It's
lead
amazing.
as well.
Yes.
You know, I think that's what we're all doing. It's something that you're doing as well. You opening the door for others to say, we can do this. I can do this.
Yeah.
So yeah, had some great leaders ahead of me, Dave, and they opened the door for that opportunity for me as well.
Yeah, and just leading by example, bro?
Yes.
You know, showing others it's possible.
Yes.
How about playing with Jonah? What was that like?
It was like being a spectator.
Yeah.
It was like sitting on a bench being a spectator.
Yeah.
Yeah, my first game as an All Black, I had a jersey on, but I didn't get a chance to play.
Yeah.
It was in Twickenham against England. Just seeing him run down the sideline, and he was bumped off the winger, bumped off the prop. I was jumping up and down like I was one of the supporter in the stadium, and realised, oh, geez, if I get the chance to get on, I just need to make sure I calm myself down. But just being in awe, you know, he changed rugby, turned it on its head, and to have the opportunity to play alongside him was amazing.
Yeah.
Really grateful for that opportunity.
Do you think ever be another player like him?
I don't think there'll be another player like him, but the players evolved.
Yeah.
You know, you have a pioneer, they set this standard, or this is the level, and we just have these wonderful young people that come through and pick it up and add a bit to this and add another bit. So yeah, he's the one that set that level for a lot of people.
Yeah. Talking about the tough times, 2007 lost to France, the big one. I mean, was that one of your toughest moments, and how was it coming back?
I think it was a tough moment, not just personally, but for us as a team. And when I say team, that includes our management as well, because there was a huge expectation. I think earlier in the year as well, it was the first time that an All Black side had said, these All Blacks are not playing because we're going to try and get them prepared for the World Cup.
Yeah.
So we didn't play the first part of the Super Rugby. And you can imagine, you know, that's obviously all the grief that you would have been getting from the rugby world as well, from here in New Zealand. So that was a challenge. And then to go through the World Cup and not win meant there's no take back, you know. So I think just coming back, failing people's expectations, failing our own expectation to win. And like we talked about before, if you're going through things and you're not learning from it, then it's not a lesson, right?
Yeah.
So probably one of the biggest things that New Zealand Rugby did was keep the coaches on.
Yep.
Because that allowed us to take a lesson from this. And I think one of the biggest lessons that came out of 2007 is that we can field probably one of the best teams, but when we have to win in big moments, we haven't really shown that we've been able to do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a lot of time from 2007 through to 2011, big chunk of that was about learning about pressure.
Yeah.
What does it feel like? How do we handle it? And how do we use it to becoming like a strength and a tool that we can apply onto other teams?
Yeah. And how good did it feel in 2011?
Like 2015 was like,
Yeah.
and 2011 was like, oh, thank goodness.
It was the relief.
Yeah, I think if I close my eyes and think of the change room, it's just everyone was just like lying on the floor.
Yeah.
There was just like nothing left. There was so much energy from off the field, you know, because once again, it's an expectation, and that time in New Zealand around the World Cup was just so much hype, which was great. Such a good thing for our country and great for our team as well. But by the end of that final, and the score was 7-8, there was just nothing left in the tank.
Yeah.
It was just like
Spent.
spent.
I mean, the pressure must be immense. So, you know, when you guys lose, I mean, it affects the whole nation. It's like, everyone's depressed. The politicians are talking about it. It's all over the news. The pressures must be huge.
I think too, there's just this real want to honour our legacy, the All Black legacy. That All Black legacy was from all the people that have come before us, but also that legacy is also what people around the world, they don't even know about New Zealand. They know who the All Blacks are.
Yeah.
And that's
that brand, eh?
It's the brand, So I think that's part of the reason why it feels heavy, is because we want to make sure we do that well for our country.
So going into 2011, the final, how do you prepare? I mean, all that pressure, we talked about it. How do you mentally prepare yourself to go out there and do that?
I think about all the skills and tools that we're working on in order for us to be able to handle these moments really well. But there's nothing like actually being in it and actually having the opportunity to use these skills. I think leading up to the game, just being in the environment, the atmosphere, it's quite draining as well.
Yep.
So you're trying to stay as focused as you can without overthinking it, if that makes sense. You're looking out the window and all you see is black jerseys everywhere. And it's like that for the whole week.
Yeah.
And then on game day, as far as you can see, it's just there's people everywhere. So you're trying to keep your emotions down and try and not overthink things, but it's just human nature.
Yeah.
As we're going through the game, we're trying to apply being calm, being in the moment, keeping ourselves level. But because it's the first time we've actually put this to the test, this is our first final, that it doesn't always go as planned, but it goes well enough that we're able to win, if that makes sense.
Yeah. How do you prepare? Like, is there different types of exercise, or what do you do at training? How do they put you under pressure so that you can handle these things?
I think, when I look at a structure of a week, like if we break it down, like what a training week looks like, beginning of the week is about learning.
Yeah.
What have we learned from our last game? What do we need to learn in order to make sure we're winning on Saturday? And as we start getting through the week, the intensity starts to build up. So doing things under pressure, coaches getting you to run, trying to add a little bit more pressure and intensity to what we're doing. So that all the skills that we're learning at the beginning of the week, we're trying to execute it with a bit of with some pressure under it.
Yeah.
And then, as we get to that last day, the day before, like our captain's run, the day before game day, it's about making sure, have we done this? Have we done this?
Yeah.
Is there anything we've missed? Well, let's have a talk if we have. If not, great.
You just have to trust the process. You've just done it.
Yeah, when the preparation's done well, you go out onto the field feeling really confident. I think that there's a bit more sense of joy when you're going out there. And when you've missed something, or if I don't feel clear on a line out, that's bugging me even when I go onto the field, you know? Man, we didn't nail that during the week. It's the timing's just off. I don't feel that confident. Sometimes you're just carrying that little thing in going into a game. So the more clearer I am, the more confident I feel going out onto the field.
Yeah. And that's just that repetition.
Repetition. And you learn to, the more you do that, the easier it gets to like keeping the noise on the outside quiet. Yeah. Trusting the process.
I know it's another hard question, but who would be one of the best players you played with?
I just like to use there's not one, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because it just, I was lucky enough to play for a long time. So in this block, there are so many great players. Yeah. So I'm not going to answer.
What about the greatest team?
Greatest team. Oh.
Where you thought, man, we've got a team here. Yeah. What year would that have been?
To be honest, this is probably being a bit biased, but I know a lot of people will say the 2015 team, but there's something about the 2011 side, just because by the time we got to the final, we were down to like our third or fourth first five. We hadn't won a World Cup since 1987. Yeah. So we were having to go through all these firsts, if that makes sense. Yeah. And playing at home as well. I thought that team, we were able to handle pressure really well. Yeah. Which opened the door for us to do it even better in 2015, if that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
You talked about feelings, whether they're good or bad, after games. I mean, how did you get through that?
I think when we lost in, I was lucky enough to play in 4 World Cups in my time. 2 were really good,
Yeah.
and the other 2 were like, they were learnings. You
Yeah.
know, I think that's a good way of putting it. And the first one I turned up to, I was 24, and you know, when you're first on the All Blacks, there's a lot of, it feels like the lights and all the bits that you see on TV
Yeah.
about wanting to become an All Black. And the longer you spend there, you realise you're not there for a long time, so you've got to make the most of every opportunity. And in 2007, we turned up with a team that was, when I look at it on paper, Dave, it was probably one of the most talented sides that I'd played in.
Yeah.
And to fail in the quarterfinals is the earliest exit for any All Black side.
Yeah.
All I could think about was returning home and having failed everyone's expectations, you know? And when you go through moments playing for the All Blacks as well, I know my dad used to get a lot from work, you know? All the experts used to work with them. So, when I'm going through the tough moments, I always think about my family have to go through it as well.
Yeah.
That's just part of it, you know?
Yep.
Hearing stuff from public, and I even remember my dad getting into like a few verbal arguments sitting in the crowd, you know?
Yeah.
So, I think the best way that I got through that was just making sure throughout my time as an All Black, it was always with my family and close friends. They were always the influence, and as long as I had them around me, I could handle the good times and the bad times, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They were always my strength and pillar. Probably one of the challenges that became an opportunity for me was in 2002 when I missed out on a Super Rugby contract.
Yeah.
And our wife was expecting our son, and we were in the process of building a house, you know, but it was unfinished. And I got a call to say that I wasn't going to be selected. Jeez. So here I was just thinking to myself, how was I going to provide for our family?
Yeah.
Yeah, and within a couple of hours, the opportunity had come along. The Chiefs reached out to me and said, you know, would love if you'd want to come down and play for the Chiefs. And I spent that year working my butt off and realising, you know, I probably spent the last couple of years comfortable, you know, happy to be there. I'll play for the Blues, you know. So what turned out to be a really hard time ended up being a real opportunity for me for my career to go like this. Yeah. Realise if you want to be here, you got to contribute. You got to be better than just making up the numbers.
Yeah, I think there's a lesson there for people, you know, now, you know, and especially our youth, you know, that and anyone really, and I mean, life's, man, it's tough out there now.
Yes.
You know, but when you get knocked down, to use it as fuel.
Yes.
You know, to drive you to be better and to work harder. You know, it's a big lesson, eh?
And you're right too. It's a tool that's there. I don't think there's anything wrong with carrying a chip on your shoulder, right? Yeah. It's you know, and people say it should always be internal. Hey, but if there's an external driver, if there's something from the outside pushing you to be better, I'd use it.
Man, I had chips on both my shoulders. But I just remember saying, I'm going to show you bastards what I can do. Yes. You know, all the hate, I'm going to show you. Yes. I'm going to show you what I do. And it just drove me to work hard, not eat rubbish, and train as hard, you know, and just get there. Yeah. And just use it. And I keep saying it to people, you know, greatness comes from the struggle. Yes. You know, if you use it as fuel. That's it. The other thing I was thinking is, you know, people they see like where we're at now as a family. We're doing okay now. Hard work, but they want it straight away. People want to go from here to there straight away. They see, you know, when you became an All Black, and they see where you are now, but they haven't seen all the hard work that's gone in and all the sacrifice, eh?
Oh, 100%.
What do you say to our youth when they want it? Everything now is so fast. They want it so quick.
It's always a tough discussion to have. Yeah. It's a tough conversation to have, actually. I must say, too, it's not only our youth. It's just because of the environment that we live in today. And when things are hard, you become more desperate as well. Yeah. So sometimes, you know, it can be part of just the environment that we live in. Yeah. There's so many sayings around why you should wait. Be patient, it'll be worth it if you are patient with it. Yeah, I think, like, you know, listening to your story with rugby and stuff, you heard all these amazing leaders and amazing role models. And it's when I'm talking to people who don't get it, say that a lot of our youth, they don't have these role models in our communities anymore. You know, we want success. Yes. We want money and all these things. As growing up poor, you want these things. And a lot of the times it's not the positive people that you can see and
that are with those things.
Yes.
And the role models that we have are not the best role models.
Yes. I keep on thinking too, Dave, you should never underestimate the work that you've done already and still doing. I just thought I'd add that in there as
Yeah.
well. Like your work you do is it's not unseen. We all see it and appreciate it.
Yeah, man. So I just think if we all get together, all of it, people with profiles and use it for good.
Yes.
Because I do believe, we're much more powerful together.
We're only in this world for a short time, right?
Yeah.
And it's who's left behind. It'll be our children, it'll be our grandchildren. So we want to make sure that the spaces that they're walking and living in are good. Is a good place, right?
Because I'm worried, Bo. I'm worried for our grandkids. These environments that we're, with what we're seeing. I think, man, that's why I keep telling people. So look, no matter what you think of the parents, we've got to help these children.
Yes.
Because if we think it's bad now, imagine what it will be like for your grandkids.
It's funny when you say that too, Dave. Like my first trip to South Africa was about 25 years ago in 2000. And I'd never sine people at the lights begging for money,
the signs.
Or for food, and then I just, in my head, I just thought I never thought I'd see that happen here.
Yeah.
I think sometimes the conversation is we don't know what poverty is here in New Zealand, but we are starting to see it.
Yeah.
So like you said, if we thought it's bad in our time, it's gonna get worse, right?
Yeah, and that's why I keep raising awareness. I mean, I raise awareness so much, probably costs us support from any government. I've got a unique skill. I've managed to piss both governments off, but that's how they both. But when you're going into emergency housing and you're seeing families staying in a place that you wouldn't have a dog live in, paying, and we are as taxpayers paying $2,500 a week, $2,500 a week for this family to stay there. And, people need to know this is what's happening.
Yep.
So we've got to keep pushing. That's something for the future anyway.
Yes.
I'll talk to you about it. But what's the goals for you, bro? What's going forward?
I'll use one of the conversations that one of my coaches said. We talked about, what does your end game look like? And the way he described it was, I can see being under a huge tree with all my family and grandchildren there, having lunch, on a beautiful day. And I feel like that's no different to me. What does success look like is being able to have heaps of those days, have hundreds of those days where we're all together, we're with our nephews and nieces, our loved ones, enjoying those moments. Want to have heaps of that's when you're talking about that. What am I up to? I'm trying to get to those. I'm trying to get to more of those days. Yeah. I'm working hard to get to those days.
Me too.
Yes.
Me too, brother. I remember sitting at a cafe and I saw this family, you had the grandparents, the parents, the grandkids, and they're all there having a lunch. And I was going, man, I wish we had that.
Yes.
And you're right. That's what I want to work towards. Those and plenty of them, eh?
Yep. Because I don't want it to be funerals.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be these sad times that we have to get together. I want to be able to just say, hey, look, on this day, we're going to get together, catch up, have some lunch, and we're all going to be there. Spend the whole day together,
Yeah.
That's what I'm working towards.
and money can't buy those moments, eh? You can never get it back.
That's right.
One of the questions I ask everyone that comes on is something that's really important to me. I talk about a lot with BBM is about, the why, finding your why. And, with a strong why, you can overcome anything.
Yes.
You might have multiple of them, but something real deep and meaningful.
Yep.
What's your why?
When I think about it, it was really clear to me. But when you said it's not always one thing, it's definitely been my family. And when I say family, that's my wife and my children, but also my wider family as well.
Yeah.
It's my parents, my brothers and sisters. It's my nephews and nieces. They've always been that way when it's got tough for me.
Yeah.
I've had it hasn't been hard trying to find why I need to do this.
Yeah.
Or why I need to get out of bed.
Yeah.
Or why, because I think it's hard, that it's not worth doing. So that's always been clear to me.
Yeah.
I just hesitated a little bit because I know it's always my wife, my children. That's my why. And whenever I've ever needed to look a little bit further out, that the support of my family have always helped me.
Yeah.
Helped me. It's it's not motivation. It's the want to do. It's the responsibility, the want. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's just that driving
It's
force.
that drive. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think about like it's just if you're falling off, you've been knocked down. If you think of that, it should always get you back on.
Yes.
And get you back up to keep going.
Yes. That's it. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And you're working now with Protect for Life. That's the insurance. Talk to us about that.
I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to be working alongside two really great men.
Yeah.
One I've known as a family friend for a long time now. The other, when you just have a synergy, just by the way that person acts and behaves, that he's the guy that I want to be working alongside as well.
Yeah.
These two men bring that to the table. And when I look at Protect for Life, it's our insurance company. I'm one of the directors. There's three of us. When we peel back the layers, what is it? It's looking after people. It's how we help people when they're going through those hard times, when they're challenged in life through whether it's medical, whether it's something that's happened with an injury, they can't work, or there's a loss of life. Just feel when I look at the work I've done, it just aligns with what I've been doing in life, if that makes sense.
I think there's a massive inequity there, especially for our Māori Pacifica and living in deprived areas, struggling to get by.
Yes.
They don't know much about insurance and they can't afford it.
Yes.
So there's got to be a way that we can work together to offer something that they can afford, because, again, we take it for granted, when our health, what happened to me? Eat more crap, drink more crap, do no exercise, and, you don't think it won't happen to me until it does, right?
Yes.
And you go, oh no.
Yes.
What am I going to do? I've met so many people. I visited a guy, 400 kilos, couldn't do anything. He's just waiting to die. They always have one thing in common: they'd give anything to go back.
Yep.
And it's and the whole thing around having that health insurance. A lot of the times we won't go because we can't afford it.
Yes.
And we don't go until we present to the hospital and it's almost too late, eh?
Yep.
And I mean, bro, and on health, you had a health scare as well. And how, and you got through it all good?
Yeah, and it was...
Because I saw it and I was going, oh, no.
I was on a journey to trying to get into the ring. Not to say I wasn't good at it, but it was a challenge. Probably coming from that sports background, you're constantly looking for challenges. And that probably would have been one of the biggest of them, is stepping into the ring. But along the journey and a couple of days out actually of competing in the Fight for Life.
Yep.
I had to go do the medical.
Yeah.
And in that medical, it was quite hard to find a doctor, so I ended up calling my former rugby doctor, one of the Blues doctors, and went in there. I said, you mind doing this, doing my medical for me? And as he was going around, knee, shoulder, good. He gets the stethoscope out and checks the ticker, and I can see him like his head doing and he leaves the room, doesn't tell me why, comes back and brings two other people with him, and they go, no, I think that's what he's got. So, I had a heart arrhythmia, so it wasn't in the proper, sinus rhythm. So, and the problem with that is that if it's not like that, then there's a chance of a stroke because it's not pumping the blood out properly. So, it was a shock because I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
I reasonably look after myself well.
Man, you're one of those guys that always looks good. It's like, you're always in good shape.
That's a paid advertisement. Thank you. But I didn't expect it. And as a professional, every year you get checked medical, and there was nothing there before. So, just an eye-opener. It just meant I had to look after myself a little bit better. And I think over the last couple of years, had a surgery in Christmas last year, and the heart's gone back into rhythm again.
Oh, nice.
So what a blessing that is. But I'm just a bit more wary of looking after myself a bit better and doing all the little things, making sure I'm doing the little things right. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, nothing's guaranteed, eh?
100%.
Last one for me. What would you say to a young kid born into struggle, that thinks there's no hope for him or her? What would you say to that young kid?
If there's one thing, I always encourage our young people to dream, have something, have something to aspire to, something that inspires you, because it's really easy not to, And I can only speak to my experience. Yeah. I'd seen Sir Michael Jones do something that I was like, man, I want to do that. He was a young Samoan man.
Yeah.
That's me too, So I think having our young people have aspirations to want to achieve, be the best at something, which means you got to put your best foot forward to do that. That would probably be one thing I would ask of them to do, something that to aspire to want to do something, to achieve something.
Yeah, you say dream big.
Yes,
and work your butt off.
Yes, 100%.
I always say it's possible. Letting them know, hey, the good life belongs to all of us. Hey,
yes,
we can have it all.
Yes,
we're meant for greatness.
And we always think it's a destination.
Yeah.
But the learning, what we learn along the way, if you don't get there, quite possibly it was never meant for you.
Yeah.
This was the road that you were supposed to take anyway.
Yeah. God's plan.
God's plan, yeah. So, I'm a big believer in that. We're put on this earth to do amazing things. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, 100%. I made Auckland. I was doing all these things, and I had my path.
Yes.
I know I'm going to be a league star. I'm on the way.
Yes.
And then boom, blew my knee out. And then I think all these tough times and losing it all. Then I think about if I didn't lose everything a couple of times, I wouldn't be here doing the work we're doing. And sort of being able to relate to so many different people because we've been through it.
Dave, I feel like I should be the one interviewing you. Man, I think your resilience and just your ability to tell your story as well. I think that's the bit we love as well. Because the teacher is no better than the one that's been through it. I understand what it looks like as well,
Oh, Kev, thank you so much, brother. Man, it's an honour to sit down here and have this talk with you.
Thank you, brother. We really appreciate your time. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to do this.
Man, thank you. That's awesome. If you made it this far, thank you so much for the support. It really does mean so much to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and comment on our videos and share this out. These stories are so inspiring and they need to be heard by everyone. Thank you so much, team.